my grandfather, who was a lawyer and a very skeptical man, used to say to me often, observe truth always, but only when the truth is made manifest unto you. When Jesus called me, I heeded him, for his command was more potent than my will. Yet I kept the counsel of my grandfather. When Jesus spoke and others were swayed like branches in the wind, I listened, yet was immovable. Yet I loved him. 3 years ago, he left us, a scattered company, to sing his name and to be his witnesses unto the nations. At that time, I was called Thomas the Doubter, because the shadow of my grandfather was still upon me. And I would always insist on having the truth made manifest to me. How did I get that way, you may ask? Well, to tell you the truth, I don't really know. It seems I was always that way, and the counsel that my grandfather gave me as a boy stuck in my mind and found a little hole in my heart. I used to be teased as a boy because I was afraid to enter into the pranks and the games of my twin brother and his friends. He was always more free-spirited than I was, and I was jealous of his ability to make friends so easily. People would always dote on him because he was so confident and assured of himself. And I would stand in the distance, at least in my heart, and wonder if I was worthy of love. While my twin brother Joshua and his friends played games and laughed without a care in the world, I was always worrying about things. Yes, even as a young boy, I was always worried. It didn't matter what those things were. I was always anxious and afraid to enter into the dynamics of life. And because of my fear, I kept life at a distance. How ironic that my brother, who was so full of life, would have his life taken by a mysterious illness, having only known 17 harvests. I often wonder what he would make of my life now. I was skeptical even of my own woundedness. I would insist on carefully examining each gash with my own hand so as to feel the blood ere I would believe in my own pain. You see, carefully examining my cuts and lesions reminded me that I was a part of life, and that I was real, and that I was not a ghost, and that my body was real, and my thoughts were real. Looking back, it was by carefully examining my own wounds where I began to teach myself how to embrace my own humanity. I had a long way to go for sure, but thankfully, my rabbi was a patient man. Now a man who loves with his heart, yet holds a doubt in his mind, is but a slave in a galley who sleeps at his heart and dreams of his freedom, till the lash of the master wakes him. I myself was that slave, and I dreamed of freedom, but the sleep of my grandfather remained upon me, and I could not shake it. My flesh needed the whip of my own day. Yet even in the presence of that Nazarene, I had closed my eyes to see my hands chained to that enslaved heart. You see, doubt is a pain too lonely to know that faith is its twin brother. Doubt is a fountain unhappy and astray, and though his mother would give him, that gave him birth should find him and enfold him, he would withdraw in caution and in fear, for doubt will not know truth till his wounds are healed and restored. I doubted Jesus until he made himself manifest to me and thrust my own hand, this very hand, into his wounds. Even though all the others believed that his broken body had somehow been raised to new life, I did not, and I could not. And then he came. And I stood there in amazement. He, the Lord of life, had come back to remind me that he was real. And that indeed I believed. And after that, I was rid of my yesterday and the yesterdays of my forefathers. My grandfather's voice receded into oblivion, and the dead in me buried their dead. For the living shall live for the anointed King, the one who awakens hearts chained to the slavery of their own fears and doubts. Just one more thing. Yesterday, they told me that I must go and utter his name among the Persians and the Hindus. Where once I was anxious, I now go forth willingly and with strength, because his words reside in my heart, and I am unafraid. And from this day to my last, at dawn and at evening time, I shall see my Lord rising in majesty, and I shall hear him speak. And in that encounter, taste again the salvation he offers to all.